The letter in Jake Blackwood's calloused hands shook slightly, not from the chill wind whipping through the pines of Willow Creek, Montana, but from a deeper ache. It was from his old friend, Harlan Whitaker, the only outsider who'd ever treated him like family instead of just another Lakota drifter in a white man's world. Harlan had pulled Jake from the brink after a brutal winter raid years back, teaching him to read maps and speak the language of settlers. Now, Harlan was gone, and his final words begged Jake to protect his niece from the East Coast. "She's got the map, Jake. Keep her safe. I showed her the stars, but not the shadows men cast." Through the frost-laced window of his cabin, Jake watched the evening train pull into the station at Willow Creek, a rugged outpost nestled in the Rockies where miners chased silver dreams and old grudges simmered like untended fires. A woman stepped off, her city coat too fine for the mud-slicked streets, clutching a worn satchel like it held her very soul. Her eyes scanned the crowd with a mix of curiosity and steel, the kind that got Easterners killed out here. What happens when a debt to the dead crashes into a stranger's ambition? Jake was about to find out. Her name was Sarah Whitaker, and she strode into the Rusty Nail Tavern like a fresh breeze cutting through stale cigar smoke. Rough faces turned, loggers with axes still fresh from the woods, ranch hands nursing grudges, men who'd long forgotten gentleness. She moved with poise, her auburn hair catching the lantern glow amid the shadows of forgotten hopes. Jake didn't glance up from sharpening his knife by the fire, but he felt the room shift when her voice cut through the din. "I'm looking for Jake Blackwood." The tavern fell quiet. Lakota blood wasn't outright hated here not after Harlan had vouched for Jake time and again, but it wasn't welcomed either. Debts ran deep in these mountains, and Harlan had settled Jake's more than once. "That's him," a grizzled miner grumbled, nodding toward the tall figure by the hearth. "The big Indian fella." Jake set down his blade and turned. She was petite but fierce, her green eyes forged in some urban fire tougher than these peaks. When their stares locked, the air thickened. "You're the niece," he said, his voice gravelly from disuse. Sarah stepped closer, close enough for him to catch a whiff of rosewater amid the pine and sweat. "Uncle Harlan said you'd come. How did you know?" "He saved my hide a decade ago. Said his fancy niece from New York would stir up trouble someday. Owed her the same." Jake wiped his hands on his buckskin vest, suddenly self-conscious of his scarred arms and weathered face. "Guess that's you." With fingers that barely trembled, Sarah opened the satchel. The map inside was etched with Lakota symbols, old French trader notes, and Harlan's precise handwriting. "He said you're the only one who can read the true trail. He left this for me to find the lost silver vein. I need it to fund a clinic for the kids here, the ones left behind by the mines." Jake eyed the map, his jaw clenching. These weren't paths to silver. They led to something far riskier, the ancient burial sites of his mother's people, hidden since the forced marches of '76. Artifacts that could rewrite history or destroy what little remained of the Lakota spirit. "This trail," he said, meeting her gaze, "it's not what you figure." "What do you mean?" She traced a symbol, her touch light but electric, sending a jolt up his arm. "They mean it won't be simple." Jake bit back the truth. Harlan had entrusted her with secrets that could shatter his kin, but he'd also tasked Jake with her survival. Sarah straightened, her chin lifting in defiance. It was the same grit that had carried Harlan through frontier skirmishes and land grabs. "This seems overwhelming for me," she admitted, studying the lines. Then she smiled, a spark that could thaw the Rockies. "But I'll give it a shot." That smile lingered in Jake's mind like a ghost. That night, in his sparse cabin, he stared at the rafters. A vow to a dead man was sacred, but out here, vows twisted like mountain paths, especially with a woman whose voice echoed like a clear stream. Across town, Sarah's lantern flickered late in the boarding house, poring over frontier guides. Come dawn, he'd have to reveal the map's real secret. Not riches for her clinic, but relics to preserve his people's legacy. Between honor and heartache, between ghosts and the living, Jake Blackwood faced a reckoning. Dawn broke crisp over Willow Creek, all frost and unforgiving light. Jake found Sarah behind the livery stable, fumbling with a saddle on a skittish Mustang that sensed her city nerves. She'd swapped her fine coat for sturdy jeans and boots, still too new for these trails. The way the denim clung made Jake's throat tighten had known women, but none with her blend of resolve and elegance. "Horse senses your fear," he said, approaching steadily. "Quit overthinking." Sarah spun, her hair tumbling over her shoulder, a sweat bead trailing down her neck into her shirt's collar. "I can't help it, thinking's my strength." "Then think on balance, not the drop." For the next hour, teaching Sarah to ride was a battle of wills, exasperating yet captivating. She tackled each tip with the focus of a scholar cracking a code. When she finally held steady for a full minute, her laugh rang out triumphant, cracking something in Jake's guarded heart. "You're gripping like it's a teacup," he noted. "Ever held a teacup?" She paused. "No, but I bet it works better than this." Her unguarded chuckle hit him hard, and as they rode out side by side toward Eagle Pass, Sarah began trusting the horse and him. "Tell me about Uncle Harlan," she said, navigating a rocky incline. Below, the valley sprawled like shattered vows. Jake was silent so long she thought he'd ignore her. "Found me near death from a wound and fever. Could have left me. Instead, taught me letters, showed a man's value ain't in his blood or skin." "What did you teach him?" "How to endure. See the mountains as allies, not enemies." The first real challenge hit at Thunder Gorge, where a sudden thaw turned a stream into a raging torrent. Jake gauged the foam, risks mounting. Sarah analyzed it book smart, her brow furrowed. "Too deep to cross straight," she said, "but feasible angled." Jake dismounted, wading in. "Trust me." What followed etched into his memory. Sarah slid down, grasped his hand small, warm against his roughness. Midstream, the current yanked her. His arm encircled her waist, pulling her close as they fought through. For a split second, she pressed against him, face upturned, water cascading like molten gold. Time halted. Then they laughed, soaked in the shallows, and Jake knew the shift was irreversible. "I look ridiculous," Sarah gasped. "Ridiculous folks don't fight like that," he replied, her gaze making his pulse race. That night, by a crackling fire under stars sharp as knives, Sarah pressed. "Jake, what's the map hiding?" He stirred the embers, sparks dancing. In the glow, her face was a mystery and beauty tugging at his core. "Ain't silver. Leads to something priceless and perilous." "What?" "Sacred grounds. Lakota burials. Artifacts are worth fortunes to collectors, but everything to my kin." Sarah processed, mind-whirring. "You think I'd rob your ancestors?" "I think Harlan knew you'd choose right, even if it cost your dreams." The question lingered. What was right? They spotted Major Elias Thorne's camp at daybreak on day 3, smoke curling lazily in the still air. Jake scoped 3 armed men through his binoculars, all eyeing the back trail. "Who's that?" Sarah whispered, close enough for her warmth to seep through. "From my past. Hoped he'd stay buried." Elias Thorne had been Jake's scout commander, a man whose Indian policy meant graves and betrayal. Jake had deserted after orders to hunt his own. "Miss Whitaker," Thorne's voice boomed as they neared. "You're with a traitor." Sarah sat tall. "The only traitor I see is you, Major." Thorn sneered. Your guide cost me my rank, refused to betray his savage brothers. Jake's hand twitched toward his rifle, but Sarah's touch steadied him. What do you want? Same as you at Lakota's silver your uncle raved about. I'll take it by force. The tension coiled like spring. Sarah stunned them, assuming we haven't claimed it already. Her bluff was seamless. Even Jake bought it briefly. At Hidden Falls. But you'll need the key. She brandished a carved stone from her pack Harlan's gift, unrelated but convincing. It brought chaos in a sudden squall, hail pelting as they bolted through blinding sheets toward the true site. Thorn would pursue men like him always did. The real falls hid in a cleft so tight riders scraped stone. Ancient carvings adorned the walls, tales of stars and seasons. Incredible, Sarah breathed, seeing it fresh. The cave lay behind cascading water, a symbol of a blend of celestial math that awed her. A star map and calendar. A mechanism. Jake nodded. Grandmother's tales. Ancients hid treasures here from invaders. Needs to wisdom skis and spirit. Together, they unlocked it. Sarah's math aligned constellations. Jake's lore infused meaning. The chamber revealed artifacts of breathtaking craft beadwork, tools, sacred pipes echoes of generations. Sarah, he said softly, these stay with my people. That's when Thorn burst in, hands off. Rifle aimed at Jake, his men blocking escape. Fortunate enough to clear my name. Sarah stepped between them instinctively, Jake's heart lurching. These aren't yours or mine. Then whose? She glanced back, eyes full of revelation. Those who remember their roots. What ensued tested every survival skill Jake honed over the years. Sarah, spotting unstable rock, triggered a precise slide trapping Thorn's men, sealing most artifacts safe. In the melee, they fled with key pieces, leaving the rest guarded. The deepest lesson came 3 nights later by firelight. Thorn survivors vanishing south. I can get you back to Willow Creek, Jake said. Forget this, head east. Sarah polished a retrieved necklace, starlight glinting. Is that your wish? What I wish. He stared into flames, haunted by paths untaken. Don't matter. You got a life, family, patience. Why'd Uncle Harlan send that map? Not just silver. He said the frontier reveals true selves. Her smile was tender. I know mine now, valuing essence over ease. Home's not a spot, it's someone who sees you and chooses you. The words bridged the abyss. Sarah, I feel it too, this pull. Ain't just circumstance. Jake truly saw her then. Firelight on her hair, hands toughened by trails, eyes wise with compassion, the way she'd shielded him without flinching. You don't get it, I am no bridge. Lakota, who reads, scout who bolted. No fit in any world. Then we'll forge ours. Simple, revolutionary words. 6 months on, the modest clinic stood at Willow Creek's edge, a beacon. Sarah used the small or cash they'd found separate from the sacred hall to buy supplies and hope. Jake built it with his hands and heart, a place where Lakota kids healed alongside settler orphans, blending remedies old and new. Miss Sarah, little Tommy Running Deer asked during a lesson, how'd you get so tough? She glanced out to Jake, teaching tracking to a mixed group, his broad frame patient as he knelt. Met someone who proved fear and bravery coexist. After hours, walking home past his forge, Sarah laced fingers with Hisa, quiet choice echoing all they'd forged. Regrets? She asked. Surrendering the artifacts? Jake pondered. The relics, now aided elders, sustaining traditions nearly erased. Their clinic bridged divides, valuing all wisdoms. None. Harlan said best treasures are shared. That evening on their porch, sunset gilding the peaks, a student dashed up. Young Ellie Whitefeather, 9, with a bow towering over her. "Mr. Jake, this bow's too huge. I can't pull it." He eyed the girl, then Sarah, whose smile recalled that tavern day. "Grow into it," he said, grinning rarely and warmly. "But try anyhow." Years later, Willow Creek tales varied. Some swore the pair unearthed Spanish, or others claimed ghost silver. But the children from that clinic who learned English and Lakota, medicine and tracking, to judge hearts, not Hugh's new truth. It was in Jake's softened gaze at Sarah's laugh, her stride beside him, the legacy they built together. The frontier forged people, broke some, embittered others. But for the bold trusters, lovers over safeties, treasure seers in unlikely spots, it gifted rebirth. Jake Blackwood once thought his tale ended with his people's exile. Sarah Whitaker believed hers started on that train. Wrong both. It began in mutual trust, enduring beyond or spend, clinic's growth, students' teaching. Because some treasures endure, vows hold, and love span lifetimes. But you try anyway. What do you think about this story? Share your opinions in the comments below. Do you side with preserving cultural artifacts over personal gains? Or should progress sometimes come first? Take a stand and let me know your views.